From a ditch in the middle of the West Indies, repairing a puncture. Welcome to the GCN show.
It's the GCN show, once again brought to you by our mates over at Wiggle.
This week, retro versus modern Tour de France. Has the Tour really changed from its glorious past? More exciting? Less exciting? Easier? Harder? More or less punches thrown?
Yeah, we've also got the winner of that amazing Orbea Orca Aero disc bike. Are you that lucky person? Find out later in the show, just after we see Si hop over to France to check out some lightweight tech from the Tour.
I'm ready.
This week in the world of cycling, we learned that if you're a little bit concerned about motors on bikes at the Tour de France, you needn't be, because this is what really happens when a road bike races an e-bike.
That's great work from Specialized there, as always. Now, we also learned this week that dogs might be a human's best friend, but bike riders might be a dog's best friend. This is a photo of Columbo getting rescued from the woods by Jared Little. Now, poor Columbo was left abandoned, half-starved, battered and broken. But thanks to Jared, he's now fit, healthy and with an adoptive family.
He's also got his own Facebook page with quite a large following already.
He'll be happy with that.
Turns out that the rescuer, Jared, is also pretty handy on a mountain bike. Not only did he come third in his category at the National Championships in the USA last weekend, he also looked pretty impressive practicing the rock garden.
Have you ever rescued an animal on a ride?
I once had to put a squirrel out of its misery because it had been slightly chopped up but not quite killed after it run through my mate's Spinergy four-spoke wheel. Yeah.
That's not the same thing at all, is it? Was it a grey squirrel or a red squirrel?
Bit of both, actually. It started off grey. Yeah. Actually, we did rescue a sheep.
We did! We did rescue a sheep.
I've even got that on video.
Now, I want to move on, Dan, but I'm quite intrigued, actually. How did you do it?
What?
A squirrel.
Oh, see. Well, I must admit, we did contemplate for quite some time how he refused to do it to start with, even though it was his fault. I ended up just sort of taking an aimed run up and
okay, right, moving on then. Right, we'll need to leave it there. So, I don't know about you guys, but I've got that image in my head now.
I had it in there for 25 years.
Right, seriously, let's move on. There seems to be more talk than ever at the Tour de France this year that things are changing. You know, like domination from one big team, the fact that fans are getting in the way of the racing, the fact that tech is getting in the way of the racing.
Or that the Tour route is too easy. Or in fact too hard, some people say.
Yeah, exactly. But is that just a case of nostalgia, you know, like the good old days? Or is the Tour actually changing?
Retro versus modern.
Yeah.
I think we should probably start with the domination of Team Sky, shall we? I think it's fair to say that they have controlled the Tour de France with a pretty cast iron grip for 5 of the last 6 years, and it has got people moaning. But why? I mean, has it happened before?
Well, yeah, it's happened plenty of times before, hasn't it? I mean, just think of the great Eddie Merckx. He used to buy up talent to have as his teammates, as opposed to having them as competition. And that's kind of now part of the legend of the man, isn't it? The cannibal and his all-conquering team.
But that is just the nature of cycling in many ways, isn't it? Because the biggest rider, the most dominant rider, ends up in the most dominant team because that biggest rider attracts the biggest sponsor, therefore his team has the biggest budget and therefore the best riders.
Yeah. Apart from Peter Sagan, though, because he's the biggest rider.
Big sponsors.
Big sponsors, but Peter gets all the money.
Oh, he does, yeah. That's true.
Yeah. What about, then, the dynamic at the head of the race? Now, obviously, we have two teammates, Thomas and Froome, in 1-2. Has that happened before?
Oh yeah, of course it has. Froome Wiggins back in 2012 to start with, and then Rees and Ulrich, 96.
Yeah.
Eno and Le Monde twice, wasn't it? 85 and 86.
Yeah.
And now was that famous one signed, 1960. Remember that?
Nencini and Battistini.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah. Who did they ride for again?
Italy, national teams at the time.
Of course, like Coppi Bartoli, even more famous arguably in 1949. I suppose not all that many 1-2s in the overall history of the Tour, but some of the best races. I mean, no one would be complaining if we had a rerun of Eno Le Mans from 1986, widely regarded as one of the greatest tours of all time. So yeah, if we get a Thomas Froome version of that, we'll quiz it.
It's almost annoying, isn't it, that they're not fighting against each other in-house, because that would be good.
Maybe behind the scenes, mate. Because outwardly, Eno was very supportive of his teammate, Le Mans, wasn't he? Even though he was attacking him whilst he was doing it. No, don't worry, Greg, this attack's to just secure your yellow jersey. Don't you worry.
Chris Froome was annoyed when Geraint got the yellow, wasn't he? Do you see the picture that Team Sky put up? He's trying to give him a left hook into the ribs there, isn't he?
Oof, that does look nasty, doesn't it? Yeah, meanwhile, Gianni Moscon just looks on, supportively. Yeah, you... Go on, really get where it hurts.
Do it. Right, let's move on to our next part, which is the safety risk that the fans are currently posing to the riders. Is this something new? Well, not according to Greg LeMond. This is what he said to Richard Moore whilst Richard was writing his book about that whole LeMond-Eno saga.
A book called Slaying the Badger, which is subtly different, I think, to Spinaging the Squirrel, isn't it? But anyway, so LeMond said, and I quote, "I was thinking that there could be someone out there. There was such a strong feeling out there. It was so frenzied. And I'm racing against France's best-known athlete."
Well remembered.
Thanks, mate.
There was also the fact that Eddie Merckx got punched, didn't he, on the Puy de Dôme?
Yes, he did,
Not sure what year that was. But in 92, if you remember, there was also a terrorist attack. Basque separatists decided to blow up a car in San Sebastian. So from that point of view, the risk and safety aspect of the Tour this year is nothing new, although it does feel slightly more out of control, maybe?
Yeah, but maybe that's the point, isn't it? It feels more out of control, much like the rest of life, when actually statistically, it's no worse than it was before, maybe.
Or better.
Well, yeah. Okay, then what about then the general kind of anti-Sky sentiment at the Tour? Well, it does seem that whoever is dominating the Tour de France at one time ultimately ends up becoming disliked. I mean, even if they're French. Jacques Anquetil famously won 5 Tours de France and became ultimately hated by the French public, who desperately wanted the eternal second, Raymond Poulidor, to eventually overcome Anquetil. Man, he never did.
No, he didn't. Then there were the Indurain years. He dominated for that 5-year period. A minimum distance between himself and second place in that period, 3 minutes and 36 seconds. Oof. I think it's fair to say he was never hated, Indurain, but in the end there was a degree of animosity towards him because he didn't win on the mountains. He only annihilated people in the time trials.
Yeah, I reckon it's because he wore his hat so well.
Yeah. Was it boring though?
No, I don't think it was. I mean, I remember at the time, people just loved the mystique with which this giant of a man used to crush their opponents. But maybe then it's just because actually we ultimately think back on things much more fondly than we did at the time.
Nostalgia, that old chestnut.
Well, exactly. Now, what about the race itself then? Has that changed? Well, the length has decreased since its peak of nearly 6,000 kilometres. But interestingly, if you go back to the Tour de France 30 years ago, so 1988, that was actually shorter.
Was it really?
Yeah, 3,200 kilometres as opposed to 3,300 kilometres, and it had 22 stages as opposed to 21.
I did not know that. I assumed that the Tours had all got shorter in recent years.
Yeah, I did, but no.
No? Well, what about the speeds then? Well, we stumbled across this quite interesting graph on Wikipedia of all places, which shows how speeds have progressed at the Tour, and they have got faster over the years, but not in the last few years.
And what about the tech then? A lot of people saying that science is changing cycling in the Tour de France. Now we know, in fact, that it's probably not best practice to sit on a steak for 300 kilometres and then eat it.
No. Exactly. Well, actually, the guys over on the Tech channel on the show this week are going to be discussing whether it's actually the tech that will decide the winner of this year's race. But has the tech changed much over the years?
Well, yeah, I think maybe it has, actually. Firstly, aerodynamics. Now the aerodynamics of riders and bikes has improved. I think, almost paradoxically, it seems like it's harder to get away on flat stages because as the speed of everyone has increased, therefore it's actually harder to make the difference because the wind resistance has a greater impact.
Very true. There's also power meters, no doubt they've changed the way that the Tour is raced. So before, if you're in a yellow jersey and your closest rival attacked, if you could, you would go with them. I mean, why would you allow your closest rival to get any kind of distance between him and you? Whereas now, with modern technology, you're pretty aware that they're probably not going to be able to sustain the power that they're doing in that attack, and you can only do what you can do. The power you can sustain is the power you can sustain, really.
Yeah. It was easier said than done, being sensible and riding to a certain power, isn't it? But equally, yeah, it's sometimes not maybe the most dynamic or interesting way to race a bike race. But equally, you can't exactly blame someone for riding in the best way for them.
No,
You know,
not
it's
at all.
kind of sensible, isn't it, really?
Right. What do you guys at home think? Are you enjoying this year's Tour de France, or is it not the same for you anymore? For me personally, well, if I'm perfectly honest, I'm quite enjoying this dynamic at the moment. It has changed over the years, but then so has my relationship with the race. Before, as a young lad, it felt like such a long way away, and I've been fortunate enough to do it and be around it with GCN now. And to be honest, if you look back at 2012, I'm sure at the time we were thinking, oh, Wiggins is dominating, he's just clinging on the climbs and dominating the time trials. I think we'll look back at this in 5 or 6 years' time and think, that was a pretty cool race.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm absolutely loving this year's race. When you think about what's could potentially happen in this final week, it's actually far more finely poised than a lot of people are giving it credit for. Sky haven't got this sewn up by any means, and that's even not taking into account that they might suddenly have a fist fight. So yeah, I think it's going to be great. But yeah, let us know what you think. And actually, should we have a vote about this?
Yes.
Is the Tour better now than it used to be? So let us know
In the poll.
in the poll. That's
We
what I
should
was
give
about
a
to say.
final kiss of death, shouldn't we? A
To
last
what?
prediction for the final week. Who's going to win the Tour this year? Place your bets. I'm going Dumoulin.
Okay, that's all right, because I was going to go Thomas. Go Thomas!
It's now time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, we're going to start with the Tour de Mont Blanc, which is supposedly the world's hardest one-day race. 330 kilometres.
That's not that. The Dirty Kansas that length, isn't it?
8,000 metres
Whoa, okay.
of climbing, yeah. And when you take that into consideration, the finish time is almost unbelievable. So Nico Roux, French ultra-endurance legend, won it again this year in a record time of 11 hours, 17 minutes. That's an average speed of 28 k's an hour. Yeah, and the women's race, almost unbelievable as well. 13 hours, 46 minutes for Sylvia Perrenou, 24 k's an hour that time.
Yeah, you can tell he's been in France recently. French
oui?
is brilliant at the moment. So.
Merci.
In fact, a lot of the world's eyes, at least the cycling world's eyes, will be on the ultra endurance world on Sunday, won't
Yeah.
it? Because the Tour de France finishes, but a new event starts in the form of the transcontinental self-supported race across Europe. In fact, Catherine is going to head over to Flanders for the start of that to get some really cool content, so stay tuned for that.
Absolutely, I can't wait for that. Now, and can we just back up just one sec to iconic French mountains once again? Because Mont Ventoux was this week announced as the finish line for a new race, a new one-day race, UCI 1.1, which means that it's a big deal, but it's not like a mega big deal, and it's going to take place the week after the Criterium de Dauphiné finishes.
Yeah, that placement does make me wonder how many hitters are going to turn up to it, being as it is quite close to the Tour de France and quite a lot of travelling involved, I guess, for one day.
but
still cool.
Super cool, because I think that's the only one-day race that finishes on top of a mountain, right?
Taiwan KOM Challenge. Nowhere near as
Taiwan
prestigious,
Challenge.
obviously.
What?
Anyone can get into that.
Mont Ventoux. No, Taiwan Caption Competition. Did we ever said how epic that was?
Yeah, but easy to get into.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Most of you will be aware of Team Sky's campaign during the Tour de France, that kind of headline grabbing, whale saving, reducing plastics mission that they've got going on. But Trek Drops, the women's pro team, seem to have gone even a step better than that, because they have partnered up with Every Can Counts.
Yeah, or Chaque Canet Compte. Yeah, or I like this one. Cada la cuenta. See, in Spain. Basically, they are an organisation or organisations, I couldn't quite work it out, that aim to raise awareness of effectively making informed choices about what you consume. The idea being that a drinks can is infinitely recyclable, whereas a plastic bottle is not. And so here you go, if you're in Europe, keep your eyes peeled for a Trek Drops limited edition one. I've never had mineral water out of a can before.
I don't think I have either. I generally have it out of a bottle.
Well,
Anyway.
not anymore, mate. Should we try it?
Well, only if I can go first. I don't want to sloppy seconds.
No, I'll go for it.
Right, we've also been sent a book, Si, haven't we? In terms of mineral water. From Mark Beaumont. You look great taking a sip from that can, I must admit. Much better than with a plastic bottle. This is from Mark Beaumont, Around the World in 8 Days. You'll remember his record-breaking round-the-world trip on a bike. He's now written a book too.
Yeah, it's a big book considering he'd only did it in 78 days. But to be fair, I'm really looking forward to reading that actually. Very interesting. You'll also know as well that we've got a couple of videos on the channel from last year if you want to check that out as well before you read the book.
Now, it seems that public bike hire schemes are either, depending on the week, a massive, super fast growing, money-making machine that's set to revolutionise the entire world, or on their knees.
What is it this week, Dan?
on its knees. This is
No.
according to the website Quartz. OFO are apparently in rapid retreat over in North America, and that's just the latest of the countries, because before that there was Israel, Australia, Germany and the UK too.
Yeah. Now, we must stress this is just one company and not the entire industry. But sticking with urban cycling for a moment, some very good news, and that is a long-running piece of research has just concluded that actually pollution is not a barrier to exercise.
Yeah, this is from the Journal of the American Heart Association, which doesn't sound like a real name, but apparently it is. Anyway, their findings show that you are better off exercising in a polluted area, despite, of course, breathing in more polluted air, than you are not exercising at all. So if you are questioning whether or not you should commute to work in a city, there's your answer. Probably.
Absolutely. More evidence to show that riding to work is good for you. Now, there was this week as well some news with regards to Bradley Wiggins in a jiffy bag.
There was, yes. He was on ITV during their Tour de France coverage, and he opened up quite significantly on one particular day. Amongst other things, he said that the DCMS report was fabricated. He also said he's getting daily information which is completely shocking, and that there are a few people quaking in their boots when this information comes out.
I tell you what, I'm quite intrigued actually.
Yeah. It's the GCN Wiggle of Fortune. The last one this week.
Yeah, but we're going to go out in style because this week's contestant, Max Schroeder from Germany, stands to win double. Yeah, that's right.
Indeed.
50, 100, 150 or £300 Wiggle vouchers are up for grabs.
Or also, 2 beers.
That's right,
this week.
2 beers.
Fingers crossed for the Loidster.
Now,
I've
got fingers crossed for both the Lloydster and Max as
Yes,
well. They
right.
probably cancel each other out, don't they?
Here goes then, in 3, in 2, in 1, and we're off. Max, best of luck
the
to you.
wheel.
Okay, the beer has gone.
No.
3,
Yes.
2, 1, 4. Right.
Come on then, Max. Come on then, Max. Come on, Max. Come on, Max. Come on, Max. Oh, he's gonna do it! Oh!
Sorry, Max. At least it's doubled. Gets 50 quid.
50 quid. There we go.
So close. I feel bad for Max, but yeah,
I feel
£50
bad
of
for Max.
vouchers from Wiggle to spend on anything you like.
He's not going to feel bad. He's just got 50 quid to spend at Wiggle.
Yeah.
There we go. Right. Now, do not be dismayed because your opportunity to win some pretty hefty Wiggle vouchers each week is not disappearing. We're simply changing it because in the Wiggle of Fortune's place is going to be inspirational riding photo of the week. It's equally catchily named.
Yeah, the premise is really quite simple. Each week you can upload a photo to Instagram using the hashtag GCN Inspiration. The idea being that it's a really cool cycling related shot that inspires the rest of us to head out and go out on our bikes.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be snow-capped mountains, or it could be if that's what you got access to. It could be by the sea instead, or a particularly picturesque forest. In fact, it could be an urban environment, all kind of gritty, black and white, with a bit of graffiti, yeah. Or like a sunset or a sunrise.
Yeah. What is really important to point out though too is that it does not matter how expensive or cheap your bike is, how good or bad it is. This is all about just getting out there really, which is where Wiggle come in because they want to reward the best 3 entries as chosen by us each and every week. So 3rd place each week will get £50 of vouchers to spend at Wiggle, 2nd place £75. Top prize each week is £100 to spend on anything you like over on their online shop.
Yeah, and can we stress that we cannot be bribed? No matter how many beers you try sending down, not for bribing. No, honestly, not for bribing. So anyway, get out there this week, stop, take a moment, take a snap of the most inspirational place you find yourself, and then send it in.
Tech of the week now, and we are off to France to look at some lightweight tech from the Tour. We being you, Si.
Won't be set. Okay, now here's a bit of a scoop. We've just intercepted these Mavic Comet Ultimate shoes, which are on their way to Romain Bardet, okay? So apparently he had a crash in that first week, obviously, and then his shoes suffered a little bit of cosmetic damage. So just to make sure that they're in perfect condition, they're replacing them with these, a new pair, which are customized ever so slightly. So these shoes have got the carbon shell on them with an inner bootie. So he's kept his booties, and then these are the new shell. They open the windows a little bit more just to accommodate his feet. But the thing that I've been particularly fascinated with is the fact that he's swapping his shoes in the middle of a Grand Tour, and you can see he's got a brand new cleat on there as well. But they tell me there is a hack to actually make sure that your cleat is in exactly the same place. So they get like foam, like the kind of things that you use when flower arranging. You all know what I'm talking about, right? And they do an imprint of the shoe in the cleat, the old one, meaning that then they've got a literal template to stick the new one in. Never heard of that before. What an amazing hack. Flower arranging hack for your shoes. Now behind me, we've got one of the team cars of Movistar. This is Alejandro Valverde's spare bike. Now, a couple of things really interest me about this. Firstly, given that he's been around for quite a while, relatively old school kind of chap, you'd have thought. He's running a 36 in a ring there, and he's got a whopper of a cassette on the back. And that gives him a pretty low gear ratio, obviously, for some of these steeper climbs in the Alps. And the other thing is take a look at that position. Look how far forward that saddle is on the seat post. That's a super slammed position with a whopper of a 120 stem on as well. Right then, Colbrelli and Hauser, though, are sticking with their aero bikes. Colbrelli's rocking out the new Vision Metron Aero one-piece bar and stem. And then take a look at that as well, the custom paint job for Gorka Isaguirre. Looks pretty cool, isn't it? The new Prologo saddle there. It's called the Scratch 2. Quite like the idea of that. Have a little scratch. The Mitchelton Scott team, only 3 guys choosing to run the Superlight Addict, one of which, perhaps unsurprisingly, is Adam Yates. That's a flipping cool looking bike, isn't it? And he also, noticed there, the chain's been waxed. Nice touch. No lube, just wax.
Racing news now, and we are going to start with La Course by Tour de France, because although it was exactly a week ago, in fact now, that was one of the best races of the year, wasn't it?
Oh, it was, absolutely. Starting in Annecy and then finishing in Le Grand Bornand last Tuesday, as you say, Dan. Included the climbs of the Col de Rome and the Col de la Colombière, which was where the cream of the crop rose to the top.
Nice one, Si.
Thanks, mate.
But you're right. We had Ashley Moolman-Pasio on that climb, and she was with the Dutch duo. Firstly, Annemiek van Vleuten, fresh from the Giro, well, not so fresh from the Giro race, in fact. She won that race and only had 1 day to recover after a 10-day race. And then Anna van der Breggen, who was fresh because she'd skipped the Giro to focus on a mountain bike World Cup.
Yeah. And what a nail-biter it turned out to be. Van Vleuten just managing to overhaul Van der Breggen in the last 100 metres of the race. And you've got to say, in stark contrast to the men's race, which finished a few hours later.
Yeah, true that. Talking of the men's race, some of the biggest talking points there have been about who's no longer there, haven't they? So we've had fractures for Nibali and Richie Porte, they're out. The sprinters have been having some trouble in the mountains. And then on Sunday, there's a...
Yeah, on Sunday, Team Sky rider Gianni Moscon was disqualified from the race for, punching Elie Jesper of Fortuneo Samsic.
He was, yes. And it's going to be interesting to see whether he's still with Team Sky next year. Last year, you remember, he was sidelined for a few weeks after admitting to racist comments towards Kevin Reza. Then he was also accused of pushing Sebastian Reichenbach off his bike at another race.
Yeah, and Sky did say in a statement after the Retzer affair that if Moscon was to do anything again, they'd let him go.
They did. Although, they might claim that this wasn't racism, but rather just physical abuse. So he might get off on a technicality.
Yeah, common or garden assault there. And let's face it, Sky don't seem all that fussed about PR, more about performance. So maybe, I don't know. We'll see what they do, hey?
We will see. In other news, the big talking point is the dual leadership of Team Sky with Thomas and Froome, and also Tom Dumoulin in the mix. It is certain to be a very exciting final 6 days of racing, which is a good time to remind you, in fact, we've got daily highlights and discussion of each and every stage over on our Facebook page, so make sure you stay tuned to that. And if there's one stage that you make sure you watch, it has to be Stage 17 on Wednesday. 65 kilometres, 3 mountains, and a gridding system to start.
It sounds like it might be a bit gimmicky, but boy, are we excited. That is going to be an absolute perler, isn't it?
It will.
So there we go. Yeah. Could it shape the race? Maybe.
I reckon it will. Do you know who's got the KOM on that route?
No. Who's got the KOM on that route?
Ollie Bridgewood.
Ollie Bridgewood?
Yeah,
How many people are behind him?
None. He created the segment himself.
Oh, I suppose one way of getting a KOM, I suppose.
It is, yeah. I think it might be beaten on Wednesday, if I'm perfectly honest.
Yeah, maybe he kind of did a funny little bit at the start. And then none of the tour riders would get the same segment. If I was Ollie, I'd have done that.
Yeah, that would be quite funny, actually.
Yeah. There's some other news as well, racing news this week, isn't there? Very quickly.
Yeah, Andre Greipel has separated from Lotto Soudal. Didn't seem to be a particularly agreeable one, judging by the statement they put out on Twitter. And the 50-mile time trial record here in the UK has been, at the moment, unofficially broken by Marcin Biliabloczki. I'm not very good at that name. But incredible time, an hour and a half just over, with an average speed of 33.3 miles per hour, which is well over 50 k's per hour.
That's a staggering time, isn't it?
Giveaway time now. We've got a couple of winners to announce. Before we get onto them though, there's a new giveaway for you this week. 3 pairs of Physique Infinito knits to give away. These are the shoes, in fact, that Geraint Thomas is using at the moment at the Tour de France, and we recently saw 3 new colourways released at the Eurobike show.
They're so nice. Can I say that? So Ollie went and had a look at them on day one, and even though we didn't need to go there, obviously, because Ollie had already filmed it, I had to go and have a little look myself.
Did you?
Yeah, they are proper nice.
Wasting time when you could get more new tech for videos.
I skipped lunch to go and have a look at it. Yeah,
he was genuinely excited about it. I got a text.
Yeah, right, anyway, so there we go. So make sure you click on the link in the description of this video if you want to enter that one, and I strongly suggest you do. But for now, as Dan said, we've got some results for you. Firstly, the results of the Orbea Orca Aero Disc Team D19 with the option of creating that custom colourway using their
cool
Mayo.
prize.
Yeah, and the winner is one very, very lucky.
Yeah. It's got to be a drum roll for that. I'm quite nervous. Because I know you're all nervous too.
Congratulations, Fabien Beaujean.
Oh,
there
man.
we go.
He's going to be leaping out of his seat, isn't he, with that prize?
Absolutely. Make sure you send us a picture of your new custom colourway when it turns up. Yeah, I'm quite jealous, actually. That's an amazing prize.
Right then. Couldn't enter it.
Prize number 2?
Yeah, it is the GCN Fan Kit jersey. This was a giveaway we're running over on our Facebook page. The winner of the jersey is Andrew Ferguson here in the UK. Well done to you, we'll be in touch and we'll get that out to you as soon as possible. If you weren't lucky enough to win one, they are still available over at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com. Speaking of which, we've got a couple of other bits to tell you. First up, this specific t-shirt, which is the July special edition yellow on white.
Nicely folded, Dan.
Thank you very much. Is currently available at the special price of 50% off.
Wow, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yes, there should be a link on the screen right now. If not, it'll be at the end of the show.
Also, there is another one. If you buy the Fan Kit bundle, you get a free cap, which is pretty cool at the moment. So do make sure you head over, check out the shop, show your support for GCN.
Hack /side bodge of the week.
Crikey, it's been a couple of weeks.
A reminder that's hashtag GCN Hack if you would like to send in your hacks or bodge photos. First up, we have this one from Luke Jackson. Custom TT grips made from polycaprolactone or polymorph Garmin mount set in so it's behind my hands and easy to glance down at SRAM ETAP with homemade blips.
Not pretty, Luke.
No.
I mean, really not pretty, but I suppose when you're holding your bike, at least that's not so bad. But yeah, I guess if it's comfortable, be like Romain Bardet customising his Shimano Dura-Ace levers.
I always give homemade blips a hack because I wouldn't be able to do it myself. Not like I could do many of these things myself. I could probably do this next one though, Si.
Now that looks like a hack there. What happens if you've got Team Sky kit, but you want the new one with a killer whale on the back? There we go. So this is Busy Clister.
Yeah, I see what you did there. BC Clister.
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah, nice. Oh yeah, good Instagram name as well. So there we go. Stick a little orca in your back pocket, and away you go.
Hack from us.
That's quite cool. That
another cool Instagram.
You could have a little dog in there as well, and then you'd be rescuing like Columbo back at the start.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, not about dear old Columbo. Another great Instagram name. Lazy Days Away. Barbecue Emergency, GCN Hack. So they have put the umbrella and put it over the barbecue with a bike stand.
Ingenious. I think that's probably a bodge, isn't it? Barbecuing in the rain like that, but still, nice work. What about this one then?
Oven.
Yeah, from Shemp's Hemp. When you discover your narrow wide ring is toasted and you're riding early in the morning, you bodge it with an old front derailleur. There you go. Front derailleurs actually do a pretty good job of keeping your chain on, don't you? So yeah. I'd say that's a bodge as well, isn't it? But still,
a bodge, sorry.
Yeah.
Next
also,
up.
why have you chopped the back of your mech off?
Should we move on?
Yeah, just maybe you could answer on a postcard why you've chopped half of your derailleur off.
Yeah, PO Box Next up, I'm going to say this one is a hack site. Here's a video from Engineering First Principles, who found a neat and easy way to fasten a bottle cage onto a bike frame.
Well, that is pretty ingenious. I'm not sure why you'd want a quick release bottle cage. I mean, I suppose it's marginally more aerodynamic, isn't it? But nevertheless, that is a nice way of doing it. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, fair play. I'll give that a hack, even if I can't understand the reason why.
Next up, hack from me as well, by the way.
What about this one? I saw this bar tape protection cover. Seems to be leather with a metal zipper on a hipster bike. Wow. Yeah. I'm not sure I'd want a metal zipper on my bar tape, but there we go. It's kind of in keeping with the retro bike there.
Yeah. Don't know if you need to protect bar tape, do you? Just change it.
Yeah, it's a valid point, actually.
There was a proper hack a couple of weeks ago where when it got dirty, he just unwrapped it and wrapped it in a different direction and it had the clean part exposed. That was genius.
That is a proper hack, that one. Yeah, there we go. I mean, it's a proper thing, isn't it? But so I'd say it's kind of neither a hack nor a bodge, maybe just a bit of a waste.
Yeah.
But anyway, there we go. Right, that's a shame to leave it on a downer, but that is the end of Hack or Bodge for this week. If you think you can beat said bar tape protection cover with a zipper, then why not send in your photos or your videos using the hashtag GCN Hack on most forms of social media.
Moving on now to our Caption Competition, your weekly chance to win a GCN Camelback water bottle. Last week's photo was this one of Johan Alfredo at the Tour de France last week. We have a winner of the bottle, and that person is Stuart Cannell with this caption: "A courier day keeps the peloton away."
See what you did there, Stuart. I like that one. That's a good one. A worthy winner of said GCN water bottle.
Yeah, get in touch on Facebook via message with your address and we'll send that out to you.
Yeah, right. This week's photo for you to get your teeth stuck into. Remember, if you want to enter, you just got to stick your caption in the comment section down below. You'd have thought I'd have worked that out now after 4 years. Yeah. Right, anyway, here is Romain Bardet. And can I get started?
Go on then.
Okay. So concerned with peloton security was Romain Bardet that he became a mobile CCTV unit.
Leave your captions in the comment section below.
You see what? Did you get it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
He got it. Okay, he got it.
We have got loads of content coming up for you over the next 7 days. We're about to tell you exactly what it is. First up though, 4 comments that tickled us from last week's videos. First up, underneath last week's GCN show, this from Russell: "Is Dan Ollie's boss? Because I've never seen someone laugh that hard at Dan's jokes."
It's a valid point, actually.
Yeah, and the answer is yes.
You're the boss of everyone here, aren't you, mate?
Yeah.
Apart from Oscar, who's the new boss. Right, underneath the Angry Lou challenge, Mateus Barbosa: "I used to be a fan of GCN. Now I'm an air conditioner. Good work, everyone."
I see what you did there.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Underneath,
And thank you, by the way, very much.
Underneath 5 reasons you are slowing yourself down, Niels Heldens, a regular commenter, as many of you will know: "I don't do any of these. I guess I'm just slow." There's an amazing use of icons on the computer to create a face with a sort of, I don't know, I can't do that.
Yeah.
He's genuinely stunned. How
That's
did you do that?
incredible.
I'd imagine copy and paste sign, but I'm taking anything away
yeah,
from
but
you, Niels.
someone did it once, didn't they? But anyway, there we
Not
go.
Niels.
Right then, finally, underneath Ask GCN a thing, Dave Pratt said the best way not to get dropped is to ride with slower friends.
Yeah, good tactic that.
Yeah, you can't argue with that, can you?
Although
Really?
the best way to improve, ride with faster friends.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Not
that,
too
isn't
much
it?
faster, you need to be able to keep up, but still.
Yeah.
Right, on the
Choose your
channel,
friends wisely.
on the channel this week, on Wednesday, we have got the 5 most common Tour de France injuries, and indeed, how to treat them. And also, I'm not sure if we told you that, but Sai was out in France last week, France. He spent a day with Mavic Neutral Service.
Mavic, actually.
Mavic Neutral Service. So we've got a really cool video coming up for you on that. On Friday, am I up to Friday yet? No,
Yeah.
Thursday, Canyon SRAM bus tour. And on Friday, even more French, because Sai did a truck tour of AG2R, the Tour de Camion de AG2R.
Le Mondial.
Yeah.
I tell you what, there's some proper cool stuff in that truck. Really interesting, actually. They've got some team bikes with Ultegra going on. They've got ceramic speed coming out of their ears. It's absolutely brilliant. Right, Saturday, it's our last episode of Get Fit Quick with Chris Opie. So, well, hopefully you are well on your way to getting fit quick now, but he'll put the icing on the cake on Saturday. Then on Sunday, we've got 2 super cool videos for you. we? Firstly, Emma was on the start line at La Course, and she was, did I say that right? La Course. And she was asking the riders what they had in their pockets for that pretty epic day. And then she also went for a little ride / race with the future stars of the Tour de France, Les Cadets, who get to race over the opening and closing kilometres of the Tour de France. So there's a super cool video with those guys coming out soon too. Where are we up to? Sunday? No, that was Sunday, wasn't it?
Monday's the race news show.
Oh, yeah,
Tuesday we're back here for the GCN show. I bet there's a bonus video next Tuesday too.
Yeah, that's right. Catherine will be telling us all about the Transcontinental, what it is, what to expect, and who are the stars to watch out for.
Busy, busy, busy.
Yeah.
We shall finish this week with the welcome return of Extreme Corner. At the Tour de France, not particularly extreme, is it?
No.
Until this happens. What's this guy's name?
Alexis Bosson.
Thank you. Let's take a look at what he did. Oh, talk
My
about
word.
spectators posing in dangers at the Tour de France. Imagine if that went wrong.
Yeah. Well, fair play to him. It's an easy jump, but with quite a high element of risk if you get it wrong.
I once managed to jump over 7 people lying down.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Was one of them a squirrel on the end?
Yeah, put him out of his misery. Was a grey squirrel.
Oh, right, we better leave it there, Dan, for this week.
Yeah.
That's enough squirrel jokes. Anyway, if you want to watch another video here on GCN, then 7 Ways You're Slowing Yourself Down was an absolute belter. So if you haven't seen that, do make sure you check it out. And also, of course, head over to GCN Shop as well that we were talking about earlier in the week.
In the show.
Oh, yeah, sorry, in the show.